adaptations are some of the best horror content you can find. You read a really good horror book and then you find out it's going to be a movie. That is a great day. Now sometimes this works out great. Sometimes the movies are even better than the books or whatever the previous content was before, but there have been plenty of times where the ball was dropped and the viewers are left with a half-baked product that leaves a huge pit of disappointment in your soul. Hello again, Top 5 Scary Family. I am your host, Che Dorena, and today we are going to be looking into some of these best scary stories that either were adapted and totally sucked or have not yet been made into another thing but shouldn't be adapted at all. We are going to be counting down the top 5 scary stories that can never be adapted. As always, I would love it if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell and stick around for the whole list because I'm going to be asking you guys a unanswered horror movie question that I would love for you guys to discuss in the comments. And without taking any longer, let's get into this list. Coming in at number 5, we have House of Leaves. The novel by Mark Z. Danielewski is strange on so many levels. There are parts of this book that feel warm and comforting, and there are others that will have you question which part of the book's layered realities are close to real. The book is a little bit confusing, so I will do my best to explain. The book follows a young man in LA in the 90s who's been traveling around town with one of his good friends, doing drugs and having sex with a bunch of random women. Our protagonist and his friend end up at the apartment of a deceased blind man who is left behind a script. From this point, the book takes place in 2 realities. One is the story that is within the script, and the other is the reality that our protagonist is living. The reality in the script follows a famous photographer and his family who have just moved into a new home. Unbeknownst to them, it is supernatural in nature. This house is impossibly big on the inside and eventually reveals a long hallway that opens up into a massive room with a spiraling staircase that goes down for miles. This mysterious house also constantly shifts, making it all the more dangerous. As our protagonist reads the script, he slowly drifts into madness, not knowing if the script is based on a real place or if he's just losing his mind from his constant drug use. There are moments in this book where the words shift out of order or chunks of text is missing to give the reader the sense of disorientation, as if you yourself are going mad. Now, this is a great book, but some of the best elements of this book probably wouldn't transfer well to the screen. The switching between 2 realities, the distorted words on the paper, using pictures to describe some of the strange findings within the house. You would probably lose so much of this strange reality in the translation, but who knows? I have never made a movie before, so maybe it would work. Coming in at number 4, we have all of H.P. Lovecraft's books. All of them. Here's the thing, you gotta hear, okay, I know so many people are gonna hate me for this, but please just hear me out before you freak out and rip my head off. The H.P. Lovecraft universe has been turned into so many things and has been adapted a ton of times, but even through all of that, we're yet to get a big blockbuster horror movie using the cosmic beasts from this man's dark, twisted mind. And the only reason I put it on this list is because that's what I want. I want a movie that has Cthulhu or any of the other hundreds of creepy crawlies that H.P. Lovecraft wrote about. The cosmic horror that H.P. Lovecraft created needs to be done justice, but I just think it's too hard to sell to some bigwigs in the movie industry. I mean, with all the fish monsters and the inter-sibling relationships, they might be worried it would turn off a mainstream audience. Or maybe it can't be done. Maybe they're just too weird, because people have tried to make H.P. Lovecraft movies and they're all kind of bad. They all kind of stink. I mean, I'm not going to give up hope. If people in Hollywood are willing to make Indiana Jones 4 and have it bomb so hard we're still making fun of it, I'm sure one day they will see the light and bring us the H.P. Lovecraft movie that we not only need, but deserve. Coming in at number 3, we have The Dark Tower. Stephen King is a genius. There is no questioning it. I'm sure if we were to sit here for long enough, people would pull up a lot of his flops, but the amount of amazing literature that this man has created is topped by few, and if we're talking about the horror genre, he might be the best ever. And Dark Tower is no exception to this rule. Now, I haven't read the whole series, and I've heard that it gets weaker as it gets closer to the end, but a weak Stephen King book is still better than all the episodes of Friends combined. Now, there was an attempt at turning The Dark Tower into a great movie, but it flopped super hard. It seemed like all the pieces were there. You had Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey. It was even directed by Nikolai Arcel, who did The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and The King's Game, but when the final piece came together, it turns out it was a huge turd. So what happened? How did an amazing crew come together and take great source material and lay a stinky egg? Well, it's simply an issue of volume. The thing about The Dark Tower is these books are dense. There is so much going on throughout this series, and the movie tried to cram way too much into one screening. This left everything feeling convoluted and rushed. The reason I think these books should never be adapted is because there is too much to work with. I don't think you could bring it to TV because the budget would need to be movie level so you can get all the crazy special effects and displays you need to have this amazing world come to life. And I don't think you can do it as a movie because I don't think executives are going to let this movie breathe over a whole series like it needs to, especially when one just came out and it was a massive bomb. And if you're sad about this, then you should just go read the books because they're amazing. We don't need to adapt them into anything because the content is already kick-ass. Coming in at number 2, we have The Last of Us. I'll say this right off the top. Prove me wrong. Take this story and turn it into a great adaptation. I know The Last of Us isn't a book, but the highlight of this game is for sure the story. It was this game that set a new benchmark for storytelling in video games. If you haven't played it, I won't spoil anything, even though the game came out like 7 years ago, and the new one is either coming out in a few days or has already come out depending on when this video goes live. But the world of The Last of Us is such a beautiful experience for anyone who has played it. Right from the first 30 minutes of the game, it's established the world is bleak and it doesn't matter how much you care for something or how hard you fight to protect it, it can be ripped from your hands at any moment. And in terms of video games being turned into movies or TV shows, the track record is not that great. We all remember the Super Mario movie and Assassin's Creed, although I will say there have been some breakthroughs in recent years. Detective Pikachu, while it wasn't mind-blowing, was still a good shot of nostalgia. It has some good storytelling, and it managed to get all the Pokemon on screen in a very realistic way. And the Witcher TV show was a smash hit. Now, there have been talks about The Last of Us being taken on by HBO and using the same director who did Chernobyl. That all sounds like the pieces are coming together, but there have been so many video game adaptations that have just sucked. And frankly, I don't think we need to adapt this into anything else. The content is already amazing. You just have to go play the game. But I'll say it again as I started this point. Prove me wrong. I would love to see this happen. And coming in at the number 1 spot, we have Dreamcatcher. Touching on Stephen King twice in one horror list should be no surprise. And since my last point was bigging him up, for this one, I'm gonna focus on his flaws a little bit more. But no matter what I say, Stephen King is still amazing. It's just fun to pull apart his books/movies that should have never been adapted in the first place. Dreamcatcher is about a couple of buddies who get stuck in the woods, and this guy has an alien inside him. The government has shut down the area so it can stop the aliens from spreading, and then the aliens take over a man's body, like one of the main characters, because the aliens want to take over the world. And then for some reason there's a bunch of psychics in the movie, and a central part about this movie's story is that the aliens that come down to Earth to take over everyone and take over their bodies, they come out through your butt. It's like I was made to make fun of this movie. Honestly, this makes a xenomorph baby bursting out of your chest sound like a walk in the park. When you think about it, it would be like passing a bowling ball out of your cornhole with your pants around your ankles. One of the strangest parts of this movie is how everyone references these butt-infesting aliens as weasels. That makes it super hard to take the movie seriously. All of this comes together in a final conflict with the government officials dying off, alien sperm trying to work its way into the water system so it can infect a whole town, and a second alien that saves the day. This second alien comes out of nowhere. It's one of the biggest plot holes in movie history, and that is why it scored the number 1 spot on our list. This movie should have stayed a book. I think a movie that has aliens that come out of your bum is just way too easy to make fun of, and we should never turn that into a movie ever. All right, everyone, that has been our list, and as promised, I'm going to ask you guys a unanswered horror movie question. One of the best parts about horror movies is leaving you with a little bit of mystery, and I love when the collective horror movie fans come together on this channel so we can solve these cases. So my question for you today is, in Prometheus, why did the engineer turn against the humans? This giant alien just kind of goes berserk and starts killing everyone, but why? All right, that is all we have for you today. As always, I would love it if you could like, comment, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell. Until next time, I have been your host, Chad Arena, and keep enjoying this scary content. Bye.